Okay, thank you everyone for coming to the meeting tonight, Monday, September 13th. Is there any agenda additions or deletions? Anybody have anything?
We have, Mr. Chairman, the executive session, that's for the personnel on the bottom there.
Yep,
Okay.
it's been here already. And, anything else? Hearing none. Approval of the minutes of August 23rd, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
All right, is there any corrections or deletions?
I thought they looked good.
Me too. Katie did a good job. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone disapprove or not in favor? All right. Highway, Road Commissioner report.
Just an update, we completed Anderson Hill Road. That was on our high priority list. I believe it was supposed to be completed by 2025. That's totally completed. Right now we're working on the east street over just north of the bump road, doing a grant project, and we're hoping possibly tomorrow we'll have that completed.
On that Anderson Hill Road, did you have to cut the banks back? and
Banks,
stuff? Yeah.
had to take trees down.
All right.
Trees down, banks back, create ditching on each side.
That's always been
That was
entertaining.
required,
Good job.
and rock filled,
Oh, you lined up.
all lined ditches,
Yeah.
and culvert replacement.
And have
Not all of it, but
have
some.
any of the folks that lived there weighed in? Yes or no? Or?
The one in the upper part was very happy, was not happy when we started falling trees and stuff like that, but once they saw the finished product, they were very happy.
Good.
And now let sunlight in there, hopefully the road will be healthier and be able to dry out better.
Good job. Anything else there?
Well, on that, no, but the next thing we,
Eating?
about the speeding on Middle Road, and I had a person reach out to me, and actually she's here now, is Nicole. If she wants to speak to
Sure.
my report.
Nicole Peterson. So I've lived on Middle Road for, I think, 17 years now, and I've noticed a marked increase in speeding, especially the past year, I would say, past 3 years maybe. I don't see any sheriffs on the road. I have seen them a couple of times parked here, but never on the north end of Middle Road.
Up by the bridge? Yeah.
Yes, so, near the intersection even of Alphresia. It's definite. I've seen cars passing other cars, tailgating. Log trucks are also going quickly by. I think now it's marked a truck route, so there definitely is a need to monitor the speed. I have done a bunch of research on looking at reducing the speed if that's an option, but I thought maybe having more sheriff activity would be our first route to go. That seems a lot easier than doing traffic study and all of the other steps that go on that. So that's my speeding piece.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we have our liaison to the sheriff department reach out and make them aware of this issue, but I also would like to see Katie reach out to the state police, because they've made that they would like to be aware of issues as well. So
Okay.
I think we should notify both of them that the north end of Middle Road has been a concern.
All right. Is there a second to
Second
that?
that.
All right.
And you know, just to add to Nicole's problem, this is an issue with Middle Road, the whole village area, and I see it, I want to say Sunday, I believe it was. I was coming down the Middle Road, and the vehicle was coming up through there fast enough where he almost lost it to hit me head on. And that was down, it was this side of the high school.
Was that a pickup truck with the big tires on it?
That's the one.
Yeah.
In general, I've noticed we've had issues. I haven't had it happen yet this year, but last year it was a regular occurrence that I was getting passed by vehicles on Creek Road. on my way into work,
Yeah.
you know, in the morning. And so it's a general problem that we're having, I think, in a lot of different places.
Yeah, and while we're on it, also, and Nicole will probably testify too, because she gets them by her house with the motorcycles. And, I agree, you see the sheriff's department, but you don't really see them doing an awful lot. I'd like to see just a little more action from them.
Yeah, activity. Cash, is that,
Night traffic times would be nice too. I'll see them at 8 o'clock at night. It would be nice if it was when school's in session or when people are coming home.
that's when
for the
school's in
commute.
session thing, 'cause
Yeah.
that person with the, big wheel truck, that's definitely a student. You almost nailed me.
See around all these villages everywhere have these speeding signs that light up. With
We've-
grants available for those?
We've talked about it a couple different times. We haven't been able to get a grant, but I
need to purchase one.
we've got to research it and buy one. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Towns where they're getting them from, but they're everywhere. All the villages have these signs now. I don't know if they do any good or not, but at least
Let's
it's,
see if any of that money that we're getting for the regional, whatever they call it, is, can we use that for safety?
I can look into it, but I'm not sure if that would qualify.
Yeah, well, and where you have across from your neighbor that has the goats there, there's a pull-off into your fields.
The sheriff has sat there multi-times.
Okay, I was gonna ask it, so maybe Rick, you can,
Yeah, I just remind them.
We can also, I mean, one of the things we can ask is they've always said to let them know if we think we need a steep speed cart, so maybe they would bring one down for a
That's
couple
what I was
weeks.
gonna, just about to mention.
They might, you know, they might park one down there for a couple weeks and you know, they do what they do. They do slow people down at least for a little while.
It's your attention for.
That at least gets their attention.
going into West Rutland, that sign that they
Oh,
have.
yeah.
Yeah,
There,
yeah.
all of a sudden
They
you
got
start
'em.
paying it, you look down at your
Yeah,
odometer, uh-oh.
yeah, and surprisingly, you get over on Route 4, going towards White River, there's quite a number of towns that got them
Yep,
over that way.
so,
Well, I can tell you this much, I have asked the people about lowering the speed limit on Middle Road from end to end,
Yeah,
35 end to end.
yeah, I was doing some research.
And you would have thought that I took away their candy.
That was
Oh my
that was quite a
goodness.
while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it's been sort of recent too. But I was there at the stop sign a few days ago when some kids, right from your area, just, they didn't go through the stop sign, but they were flying. And I will make sure that the sheriffs are aware of it.
and pick
even
those
call
hours
state
when the
police.
school is open so that we can.
Yeah, well, this was, I would like to see them there myself, say at 6:30, and get them first ones that come up through,
Yeah. Plus they
around
know-
7. Yeah, and,
I had a question about school zone also, sorry. Why is Mill River not, doesn't it have the school zone designation for speed of 25 miles per hour?
I thought they were gonna change that. I thought that was talked about in one of your
That-
meetings. You guys said that they were gonna change that, but maybe not.
That got brought up
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
4
Yeah,
years,
it's a couple years ago.
4 years ago, just before I got it.
Was it just before? Because we did talk about that.
We talked about it, I don't think we ever,
Let's,
Maybe a
there was
flashing
some
light type
coordination
deal.
that had to be done between the school board and the town at that time.
No, wait a minute, it's clicking. Didn't we say to the school that basically we were all in, because they came to us. We were said that we were all in favor of it and that we would split the cost of the signs or something like that? Wasn't that what it was? And we never heard anything back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, lack of coordination or.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think we ever, because there's something, wasn't there something on the bylaws or the Vermont laws that said that both parties had to agree to it or something or other? I don't
there
remember.
was something there, you're right, Robert, but I can't tell you exactly what it was, but you're right.
I remember like Matt said, I remember it came before us.
So, because I thought, it was discussed years ago when we had the principal there that left, and I asked the operations director today, and he said that his understanding was it was supposed to be something from the town level at the select board. They didn't think it was at the school level, so maybe that's where it is dropped.
All right.
Sounds to me like there's a disconnect somewhere.
So let's get in touch with, Younce,
and find out
all
if that,
Younce first, and tell them that we're going to, start reconsidering this.
I mean, if it's,
School zone or whatever.
Yeah,
if it's a matter of us warning a ordinance change,
yeah.
I mean, I think all of us sitting here are in favor of that. I mean, if that's what it takes, we just have to pass an ordinance and put signs up. I mean, we just should start the process.
I was looking at the speed limit, setting speed limits, a guide for Vermont towns, and it looked like that's what you needed to do, but I just looked at it.
When it first came up, there was some, okay, so back then, when we got approached, they were using Holden House for special education.
Right.
Yeah, and they
wanted a pedestrian crosswalk.
Yeah.
And that was a part of the conversation, and there was more to that. But now that Holden House isn't in the mix, I think probably it is just us.
But given the atmosphere between the town and the school board at this point, I want to coordinate with them and tell them and let them know so it's not a surprise. I think they'd be in favor of it anyhow. You see what I'm saying? See the point I'm trying to make here? So that's why I want Katie, between now and next meeting, get some back and forth with the school board, and then at our next meeting.
You're saying just to notify them that we're looking at it
Right.
and doing it.
Right. And then,
I don't think there's anything wrong with letting them know that.
and then
but
at our next meeting, we can look to
But I think now
rewrite the ordinance.
now that the pedestrian situation is not a situation anymore, I think you're gonna find that we just have to do it.
Yeah.
Is what I think's gonna be the case. Is my guess.
I totally agree, but Rob, because of the atmosphere lately, I want to make sure that they get the word that we're looking into this. And then at our next meeting, we'll get some information from leagues and stuff like this, as was suggested, to write an ordinance for school safety district or whatever they call it, I don't know. And then go forward with it.
Yep.
All right? Sound good?
It sounds good to me. I think as long as we're putting stuff within the town right of ways,
Yeah.
school hasn't got much voice,
No, I agree.
if any.
I agree. However, lately, things aren't all that great between the
And
school board and the town.
I have a question, Nicole, it's kinda off the subject a little bit. We had big issues with traffic coming in and out of the school. Has that been resolved? Cause I haven't been up through there.
No.
We need to,
We were talking about if that's a sheriff situation or how that is handled actually, because I noticed it, even this morning, I was discussing it with the bus drivers, that there's an issue with we're having congestion when the traffic's going in, and I don't know if a sheriff needs to come down to direct traffic, and if that's something that.
Well, there's a sheriff on duty there.
if that
But
is,
he actually is driving bus during that time of day.
it's my,
I was gonna say,
Double dipping?
always,
it's,
when we,
No, he's off the clock.
when we used to come in, Hoffman was always at the entrance. That was part of his duties as school resource officer.
But he's not on the clock during that time any longer, so.
and my thought is, I don't think it's town responsibility to dictate a sheriff for that area.
No, it's
Of our
not.
program.
No, it's not. That would be school resource.
That'd be school.
That be the SRO budget.
Right, but she was mentioning about having the sheriff come down, and I don't, we have.
It would have to be separate from our contract.
Okay, perfect.
Because we wouldn't, I mean, because ultimately,
Yep.
the way that always worked when I went to school, you know, it's been a number of years now, but,
Nelson Tiff used to sit down.
well, no, I'm of the generation that it was Hoffman, and he sat right at just on the school grounds, and he made sure to direct traffic to
Yeah.
get them off the road.
I remember
That
when he
was,
did it.
that's what it
Well,
was.
Rick, you sat there a couple times too, didn't you?
I may have, yeah.
Because Nelson Tiff used to, when he was the town's local sheriff representative or whatever.
Was there any other way to reroute them cars around the big parking lot where the buses are, let the buses out and just to get that traffic out? Cause that is dangerous. I actually caught it once going home.
The, is it the 2 o'clock traffic or is it the morning traffic?
2 o'clock afternoon.
It's the afternoon traffic.
Well, it could happen in the morning, but I'm here, so I don't see it.
Cause I was gonna say, he always directed afternoon traffic too, and stepped out in the road and stood on the yellow line and directed so that traffic kept moving.
Which they haven't done in quite a few years, because I've
Right.
worked there long enough to recall, and they haven't done that in probably 6 or 7 years. I think just with the lower enrollment, maybe there wasn't a need, but I have seen in the morning that there's congestion there, so. And I think it's beyond the buses. It seems like there's just more parents perhaps dropping off their children or something. I'm not really sure.
Rick, you can have a conversation with somebody down at the sheriff's office, and here again, we'll contact the school board and make sure that they know that we're having this discussion. If it's up to them to pay for it or whatever, then so be it. That's how it has to be. Nicole, do you have anything else?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Good to see you. How's the kids doing?
They're good. They're good. How's Adam? Is he still in school?
Yeah, he's taller than I am now.
Too fast.
He'll be asking for the car keys pretty quick.
I think those were all my points for now. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
And I will be in
All right,
touch with them.
approval of, select board warrants.
Mr. Chairman, one quick thing for Cash.
Yeah?
You're gonna be putting shoulders on the new pavement?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. No, 'cause I got a word, from the citizen coming off from Walker Mountain Road onto East Timoth, coming east to make a right-hand turn. They didn't think that the pavement went out far enough, but, I looked at it, it looks to me like it might be pretty close.
Actually, I had them add to it
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
in certain spots,
Yeah, but
especially
there's-
corners, and a lot of it got ramped.
Yeah, there is a little drop off there, quite a drop off, really.
Right, and there will be shoulders put on. I reached out to a contractor. He can actually do it one day. And
Yeah, I guess you and I talked
he
there.
gave me a very good price for labor-wise.
Any time frame?
He said 2 weeks, but I'm not sure if that'll happen 2 weeks. So it's weather related.
Before we start getting snow.
Oh yeah, definitely. They just finished up the aprons and stuff, so now we can yellow line the stripes on the road.
Good.
That's all I have.
I didn't even pay attention, but where they cut the joint on Creek Road over here, are they coming back to put pavement to that joint?
Didn't they apron it already?
They fixed it, I think.
Yeah.
Did they fix
It's
it?
not that bump there
Okay.
anymore.
Friday they come in back in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
looked like
pay
they
I
fixed
guess
that.
it shows you how much I was paying attention. All right.
Yeah, 'cause I just come down that
Thank
way to
you.
look at that
Yeah.
myself, Robert.
I knew that there was still a cut there at least for the
I was
most.
planning on today coming in.
I knew there was still a cut there for most of the week last
Friday
week.
they showed up.
On East Timoth Road, because I lived there so
And the
long.
aprons on East Timoth Road's done, correct?
Right, and, Bert, when he was a road commissioner, he was trying to blacktop the whole thing, so he was getting, what did he call it, once they,
Recycled.
Reclaim.
right,
Reclaim.
and that's what he was using, but it wouldn't last the winter for crying out loud, so
Right.
then they tore that up.
Right.
I think when Norm got on, and,
Part of it's still there, and we're digging it once in a while.
but where that new blacktop is now is about where it was for years. So, Bob, I,
Yeah,
if you wanna mention something to whoever called you,
yeah, no.
That's the way it's
I'll
been.
have a chat with them.
Now, when you talk about that, you mean on East Timoth Road that they went off, or on a corner?
On the corner. As you're coming from Walker Mountain onto East Timoth, making a right-hand turn
Yeah.
coming east.
Yeah.
Make a right-hand turn.
There's two things. They're probably going too fast and cut too fast.
I won't argue with you.
Okay,
Makes sense.
All right, anything else for the road commissioner, anybody?
I have.
You guys have to, or you didn't vote on your motion about Rick talking to the sheriff's department. And me talking to the state
Did
police.
we not?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's,
didn't vote on it.
no,
There wasn't a motion in there.
no, it wasn't a motion, it's
Yeah, you
just,
made a motion.
I motioned,
Yeah,
it was
you did.
seconded, it needs to
You
be,
did?
yeah,
Yeah.
it needs to be voted on.
And we got on a rabbit trail.
I would call a motion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Usually I thought we just tell Rick to do this and that. Didn't realize we had to have a motion, but thank you, Katie, for bringing that up. All right, public comments, any more public comments? All right, old business, hazard mitigation plan, final draft review.
Yahoo.
Times, good times.
I asked her where the
So,
pizza
can I start by saying,
Yeah, I figured.
can I start by saying Saturday is not enough time for me to review this before today? So I'm not prepared to vote on this tonight. I'm gonna start by saying
You're
that.
not being asked to vote on it.
Okay, just wanted to lay that out.
No pressure.
Cause
Start off by saying no pressure.
to get it on Saturday and to be told that it had to be discussed
All
tonight.
weekend, Robert. Nothing to do on a weekend.
No, it's not necessarily for discussion tonight, it's for presentation tonight.
Okay.
So in your packets, you should have a copy of the review tool and the final draft that was prepared by your planning team.
Oh, I don't have the review tool.
Oh, okay. So you'll want to get them a copy of the review tool. So I'm Stephanie Burke with the Rutland Regional Planning Commission. I'm here tonight. I'm representing your local planning team, Cash, Katie, and Matt. I think they've done a really excellent and thorough job in updating your hazard mitigation plan. So they've pretty much concluded their work as a planning team, and they're ready to present the final draft of the entire plan to local officials, the select board, and any planning commission members who might be here tonight, as well as the public, so that you have an opportunity to weigh in on their work. When you get a copy of the review tool, you'll see that it's now completed with the plan section and page number, in which each of the federal requirements for the plan contents can be found. This is the tool that will be used by the state of Vermont to make sure that your plan meets all of the FEMA requirements. I was here at the midpoint in the plan development process to present that work to date that your planning team had completed. So back tonight to basically, give you the final product. We talked at the midpoint kind of about what a hazard mitigation plan is and its purpose, so I'm not gonna recap any of that. And would just draw your attention to those sections in the plan that discuss that. There's a very brief plan introduction and plan purpose that outlines the benefits of mitigation planning. We then have a community profile that provides kind of a snapshot of characteristics of your community that may make it more resilient or potentially more vulnerable to the impacts of natural hazards. Section 4 of your plan describes the plan development process that your planning team went through to prepare this update. And it includes there a comparison of any changes since your 2016 plan. So any shift in mitigation priorities and any actions that you've taken since the 2016 plan to make your community more prepared and less vulnerable to future natural hazard impacts. So at the midpoint, we discussed the hazard identification and risk assessment, which is section 5 of your plan, and identified the highest risk natural hazards that the planning team thought were facing your community. Thunderstorms with associated flash flooding, riverbank erosion, otherwise known as fluvial erosion,
Do you want me to drop that
inundation,
shade?
oh, that'd be great, flooding and high winds, the severe winter storms with, stretches of extreme cold, heavy snows, ice, and high winds, and then drought with its associated water shortages. So section 5 of your plan includes the community hazard risk assessment, which identifies how the planning team came to rank those as your highest risk natural hazards. And then it follows with some profiles explaining those types of hazards in general, and then kind of on a regional or Rutland County level, and then Clarendon specific. So we've got some great examples in here of the types of impacts to the community from things like flooding, the severe winter storms and drought and high wind events. That section concludes with a summary of your vulnerabilities and kind of a history of chronological events for each of those highest risk natural hazard categories. So with the, I guess the vulnerabilities and risks defined, Section 6 of the plan goes on to describe the mitigation strategy that the planning team recommends the town consider to address those hazards. So Section 6 of the plan starts the new work since the midpoint. That starts on page 14 of your plan. It identifies some mitigation goals, and it describes in some detail your community capabilities to undertake and successfully complete mitigation actions. So we looked at 4 different categories of community capabilities. We looked at your administrative and technical, your planning and regulatory, financial, and education and outreach. And that's a pretty important part of your mitigation strategy, because we want to be sure that the planning team came up with actions that they think are reasonable and feasible for the town to successfully complete given your capabilities. We certainly don't want to set you up with something that's not within your realm of being able to accomplish successfully. So that following your community capabilities, we include some information about your compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program. That's a requirement that subsection needs to be addressed in your plan. And then we also give a nod to Vermont's state incentives for flood mitigation, which are unique to Vermont. Then kind of the next chunk of the mitigation strategy section looks at a broad range of potential mitigation actions. So the planning team went through another evaluation where they looked at a broad range of possibilities. They evaluated them against a set of criteria, included a really high-level planning cost-benefit analysis to come up with a ranking for which actions they were going to recommend for implementation. So which ones were going to make the cut. So the summary of that evaluation and prioritization work can be found in Table 5, starting on page 19. And on the couple of pages prior to that, you have just a description that gives you a little bit more context for each of the types of actions that are included in Table 5. So with the evaluation and subsequent prioritization complete, we then took those actions that we felt made the cut and presented those in Table 6. So that starts on page 21 of your plan. And we looked at actions in 4 different categories. So the types of projects can be either local plans and regulations, structure and infrastructure, natural systems protection, or education and outreach. And I think that your planning team did a really nice job of making sure that there was a direct connection between the vulnerabilities that they identified in Section 5 of your plan and actions that they identified in Section 6 to address those. So there's a real direct connection between the 2 sections, which really, I think, is important in this kind of plan. We want to make sure that kind of one section builds into the other and that, everything seems to fit together by the time you're done. So I would encourage you to, really look closely at the range of actions in Table 6 kind of look at what hazards they're going to address, look at who the lead party will be for that action. Where's the area of impact? Is it town-wide or is it very location-specific? The profile for each potential action for implementation also includes some suggested possible funding sources for the action, any potential partners that you might want to bring in to try to complete that action, and a project timeline. I'm gonna, at this point, remind you, at the beginning of the plan, under the plan purpose, there's a statement that says, once adopted, this plan is not legally binding. Instead, it outlines goals and actions to prevent future loss of life and property. So the project timelines presented in Table 6 are, you know, they're not binding. they're what the planning team perceived as being, you know, reasonable to try to accomplish in the 5-year span that this plan will cover. So we conclude section 6 with some examples of how the town will incorporate this plan into other plans, programs, and procedures. FEMA really likes to see how the town will take these concepts of mitigation and really make them part of your broader, I guess, management of the community. The last section of the plan, section 7, outlines how the plan will be maintained over time, both on an annual basis in terms of kind of monitoring and evaluating it, and then updating it on its 5-year life cycle. So page 27 of your plan has a very simple kind of flow chart to address both the annual and then 5-year requirements. And what's presented there is intended to be able to be incorporated into your standard meeting procedures. So, you know, discussing the effectiveness of the plan on an annual basis is something that could be done at a regular select board meeting as an agenda item. You know, the invitation for public comment and input is what you do at any regular select board meeting. You know, you have an agenda. It's an opportunity for the public to be aware of what you're going to be discussing that night and invite them to comment on things. You'd then go through and possibly adjust a schedule or a partnership or maybe a target area as needed. And then in terms of making an annual progress report available to the public, that's just, you know, documenting the actions you took in your regular select board meeting minutes. So it's not intended to be something really overly formal or, you know, onerous in addition to normal business. I think this process could be pretty easily incorporated into that which you are already doing, excuse me. So to help you on an annual basis kind of do a check-in as to where you're at with each of the actions, we have Table 7 on page 28, which just gives you kind of a checkbox to see, are we anywhere on schedule? You know, let's just make sure things don't fall off the table. Obviously, the little box that's provided in Table 7 isn't big enough for you to put anything extensive, so if you had some additional notes, you'd want to, you know, do a footnote or something to that effect. So that pretty much covers the plan in its entirety. There's a couple of appendices. The first appendix would be the certificate of adoption. The second appendix would be a copy of the local natural hazards and vulnerabilities map. There's a large format version of that map here at the town office, which if you really are interested in looking at the map, it will be much easier if you're looking for a hard copy to look at the large format. The digital version you can zoom in on, so it's much easier. It's much easier on the eye. Bless you. And then the last appendix, Appendix C, is a summary of the mitigation actions from your 2016 plan with a 2021 update in terms of the status of those. In some cases, they've been completed, in some cases, they remain an ongoing priority and will show up again in this 2021 plan. In some cases, you know, they may no longer be a priority or addressed in this plan because it's not a natural hazard. So in terms of the process moving forward from here, as I said at the beginning, this was just an opportunity for the planning team to present the work that they've completed. And a copy of the plan has been posted on the Regional Planning Commission website as well as the town website, so that folks can access it. I brought some extra hard copies, so there are hard copies here available at the town office for public review. We'll open things up for a 14-day public comment period, looking for comments to be furnished by email preferably, definitely something in writing by September 27th, so that the planning team can take a look at any comments received, and if they are comments that would substantially change the content of the plan, the planning team would make those revisions with me, and we would be back to, you know, share any substantial changes from the draft you have tonight. Because once the planning team and local officials are comfortable with the contents of the plan, then we will submit it to Vermont Emergency Management for preliminary approval. So they would read through the plan against the review, you know, I'd provide them with the plan and the review tool to make sure that, you know, everything's sufficient in the eyes of federal regulation. And once the state issues preliminary approval, that's when the select board would be asked to adopt the plan. So once that preliminary approval is granted, you cannot make any additional changes to the plan. If you chose to make changes to the plan, you'd have to get preliminary approval all over again. So we really want everybody to be comfortable with the contents before we make that submittal for preliminary approval.
Is what you're suggesting, if I may, is to post this for 2 weeks and then have a meeting perhaps down at the Grange Hall for adoption? Those 2 weeks, how should we, I guess my question is, how do we present this to the public?
What we've done in the past is we post it like on the website, at the town hall, transfer station, post office, that there's public comment available. And then the plan is on the website as well.
I thought in the past that we had to have at least 1 or 2 public hearings.
That's what I thought too.
Well, there's no requirement for public hearing. When I was here at the midpoint, we talked about the public outreach strategy. This is what the planning team felt was appropriate. If the select board, if you'd like to hold your own hearing and present this at another time, you're completely, you know, that's completely your prerogative. You can definitely do that. I'm not saying you can't do that, or I wouldn't discourage you from doing that. It's been my experience in other towns that I've worked with, and I've worked with about 17 of them now. You know, if folks are interested in the plan, they will comment during the public comment period. You know, other communities that I've worked with didn't feel that there would be participation if they held a separate public hearing. But if you feel like you would get attendance at that and would like to proceed with that, please let me know, and I can incorporate that into your schedule.
Go ahead.
That will not be something that I necessarily attend. That would be a select board special meeting or hearing that you guys want to host.
My personal opinion, we'd have less here for a hearing than we have tonight for public.
Oh, we have been raked over the coals for not having public hearings in the past.
Right.
Did you say
Yeah.
no?
Big time.
So you think we'd
It will
have
be after.
attendance for it?
Oh,
So it's on the regional
we've
planning.
been crucified before. You gotta have at least one.
If you guys don't approve it, you also lose federal funding,
Community
right?
bulletin board.
Right?
That was a question I was gonna ask.
If they don't approve it, if the select board says they don't adopt it, they'll lose funding sources, right?
Well, FEMA,
Right?
The ERAP percentage.
Yeah, you're right.
You lose the ERAP
My
percentage.
suggestion would be to, for 2 weeks, from now till the next meeting, put it on the website and post it all over town.
Yep.
And then at that next meeting, say that we are going to, have a public hearing on it.
Accept public comment.
Yeah,
The public comment period is between now and September 27th, the way the plan is currently structured. So I guess I'm not following what you're asking.
So what if
or
we wait,
suggesting.
so what if we, cause it's not up on the website now.
No, it will be after this meeting.
So if it's not up now, technically it's not gonna be up for 14 days before our next meeting anyway. So we can't approve it at the next meeting anyway.
Okay,
So with that, because your first date of having it posted, it wasn't today. So your first date is tomorrow, which puts
I
it,
can push it off to the 28th. That's not a problem. I mean, this is completely fluid. This is not like a town plan. There is no statutory prescribed adoption process. So you guys are free to have some flexibility here.
I mean, I will feel more comfortable if there's a public hearing.
yeah.
Yes.
Because
Dance this dance enough.
that's, I mean, ever since we've started with any of these, and that's constantly been the feedback. When was the public hearing before the select board and that type of thing. So I think in my opinion, we gotta go that route. And I think, so our next meeting is what is it?
27.
September 27th, we would have a public hearing as a part of our meeting.
That's what I'm suggesting.
And then that way we could take comments and take I've only skimmed and I've already circled my stuff,
Yeah,
so.
I've seen a couple of things.
So, I mean, and that way we can,
There's more room on the board too, so to add a few people and names too, so.
so, I mean, that's what I would say. And then attack it that way.
I like that.
All right, so make a motion, Rob.
I don't know if we. well,
Yes, I want a motion so that it's
So-
on film that we're,
So I'll make a motion that we set a public hearing regarding the local hazard mitigation plan for September, what is the date, Bob?
27?
27th, I believe it
you
is.
said it was.
27th, from 6 to 6:30, and we'll move our select board meeting till 6:30.
yeah. Is there a second for
I'll
discussion?
second it.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, would it be here or at the Grange?
I think I would,
We could have it here.
I
don't
think
you're
you
gonna-
can have it here. I mean, if we have to pull more chairs in, we can.
Yeah, okay.
Guys, nobody's gonna come, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Well, that was my point,
So-
but that's okay.
Right, I mean,
Or if we offer coffee.
now that you've heard kind of the presentation I
Yep.
kind of provided on behalf of the planning team, I wouldn't expect to be at your next hearing. Is that okay with folks? I mean, do you feel comfortable?
I mean, I think we can collect comment, whatever they are.
Yeah,
Collect them and forward them on. Go from there.
that sounds great.
And our response would be through stuff.
Well, like Stephanie's request was, they preferably you want them in writing anyway, so whatever's collected that night, we
Right.
would have Katie type up as minutes and send
Explained and
in.
typed up.
Yeah. And then we wouldn't be talking about adoption until our first meeting in October.
Right, okay.
Right, you won't be talking about adoption until after you get approval from the state to adopt.
Anyways.
So really what I'm looking for is, you know, a consensus of the select board that you are approving submittal for preliminary adoption. That's what the next motion would be,
And,
okay?
okay, there's a motion on the floor, seconded. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So, what we wanna do is get this stuff posted around town and stuff. Send a copy over to the planning commission as well, 'cause they're,
They already have one.
okay, good man, Johnson. And when we do have that meeting next week, or 2 weeks from now, rather, I'm sorry, at our next meeting, I meant to say, can we have, 1 or 2 members of the planning commission here just to
If nobody has anything better to do, Mike, somebody will be here.
Okay.
That too tonight.
It is Monday night, and it is Monday Night Football, so,
There is that too.
yeah.
So what I'm gonna do, because there's a table in this 913 version of the plan that says that the final draft was presented tonight, I'm gonna update to include a September 27th public hearing. So I'm gonna give you a September 27th dated version of the plan.
Okay.
I think that would be better to post. Okay, so I can provide that for you tomorrow.
Okay.
So that it can be posted tomorrow. Because otherwise, I think there would be a disconnect, just in terms of the process, that we don't have a public hearing captured in this version of the plan.
All right.
Okay?
I appreciate you coming down. It's a lot clearer than it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate your work on that.
No problem. It's really your planning team. Your planning team was super engaged and they provided the input, so.
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
like about this, is because the town did get involved.
Yes.
Did have the input, so.
Our guys provided the input. What did the commission?
I provided the technical assistance, facilitated their meetings, and I drafted the plan on their behalf.
So we filled in the blanks and she did the legwork on it.
And how much did we pay the commission for this?
You paid us nothing.
How much did the commission get for this?
I'm using my emergency management funding through Vermont Emergency Management to do this work with the town.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate your coming down here, taking the time.
Good job.
Prior to this, it was clear as mud.
Hopefully it's a little clear. Hopefully you find the plan a relatively easy read. And Katie, I'll follow up with you tomorrow with a new draft to post, and we'll go from there.
Good, thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a
Thank you
good
very
night.
much. Appreciate it. Be safe. Mill River Union Unified School District withdrawal discussion. At this point, I think we had discussed possibly putting an article in March and asking the voters
Right.
if we should consider leaving the school district. Since then, we've gotten some phone calls. I don't know if any of you guys, but I certainly have. And as far as I'm concerned, looking at what the process would be to get out of the school district, even though that process seems like it's, we vote as a town, the other towns have to vote, and if that all passes, then the state makes the final decision. I still would want to hear, me personally as one member, what the townspeople think that we should do before we go any further with this. So an article, a non-binding article in March, which is a question, we'll look how to word it the best way, to make it clear to the public that we just want an opinion, essentially. So, is there any further discussion on this? Rick, you have any?
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that.
Bob?
I'm gonna continue to recuse myself from this discussion.
All right, Bob?
I don't have a big problem, but I'd also would like to hear from some of the other towns, like I've said previously, prior to anything taking place. I would like to hear from them a little bit.
What's your opinion?
It sounds like we might be standing alone on this,
I don't know, I've only heard from
and
three
I
people from out of
feel
town.
we can reach out to the voters of the town.
Let them tell us, one way or the other. And then it's not anything against the school board or any of the people who disagree with how we may feel. It's what the public, at the end of the day, in our town, the majority of the public, that's a final word for me. I don't know you guys, but
Yeah, we work for the town.
yeah. And whatever they tell me, then that's what I'm gonna do. So when we get down to budget time and putting articles and this and that on the ballot, then we'll see if anybody's changed their mind. But it sounds to me like right now, the pleasure of the board would be to put a non-binding article on. Am I correct in that statement?
That's the way it sounds, but I'll still stand by my statement.
Yeah.
All right. Moving right along.
That will put the end to it.
Yes, one way or the other. Sign the 22 4-year grants, 22 grants and aid agreement.
So currently, Cash's East Street project is FY21 grants and aid, and so this agreement will be for next year's construction season.
What projects are slated for 22 cash?
Tier road.
The backside?
Yes.
Because we're tackling all those high
High priorities.
that came from the
Planning commission on our scoring of the roads.
the whole road scoring thing,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's this, right?
It should say grants and aid.
You're right, it does. And so,
Make a motion that the, is it you?
yeah,
That the chairman sign both the grants and aid and structures grant agreements on behalf of the select board.
Second.
all right, motion made, has been seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, sounds like it passed. So it's... there's a signed structures grant agreement.
We just approved both of them at the same time.
Good. And it's only me to sign them.
Yep.
Okay, good. Let me just sign. Katie, do you have anything you'd like to report?
Just that with Cash starting his grant project, I will be starting to work more on grant reimbursement and tracking that. And obviously sending in these grants and getting everything straightened out.
Any questions for Katie? All right, we are going to have an executive session, but at this time I'd ask for select board members' concerns. Cash, do you have anything?
I guess I'm all set for tonight.
Bob?
No, other than just to pass along to people that school is back in session and, to watch the little ones walking on the edge of the road.
I don't have any concerns. Rob, do you have anything?
No, I just that if there are comments on the hazard mitigation plan, I would hope that people would come out and voice them if they have them. I know that I am historically critical of these plans, so I will say to those who worked on them, thank you for your service, but at the same time, don't take my comments as personal in any way, because I just have a beef with them in general, because in my opinion, they are huge government overreach that is absolutely ridiculous. So that's why I have my opinions about them. And I personally am gonna be asking, and Katie, if you can pull for me the last one, because this seems like a monstrosity compared to what we had before.
Yes.
So I'd like to be able to look at them side by side. Cause, yeah. Anybody who lives next to a river should be paying very, very close attention to what is in this document, is all I will say. So.
Rick, do you have anything?
Not really. I wanted to ask Cash a question, earlier, but I didn't get a chance to. I went by those, remember we looked at those rocks that were sliding off getting on the ledges on Creek Road?
South Creek Road, yes.
Yeah. Boy, it looked like that one has moved more. Has it been
moved a little
monitored?
Yeah.
I wondered.
Yep.
That's all I was wondering. I just curious about it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we enter into executive session.
Second it. Bob second.
Okay, don't mind no that.
Bob beat you.
Yeah, sorry.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Good night, folks. Thank you for
Mr. Pratt
coming.
didn't say nothing tonight. What can we help you with?
I'm just planning commission down here.
Oh,
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone? Everybody's listening. Motion passed.
where are you going?